Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and today is one of my favorite videos to film all year because it's like the only video that I do with my husband.
Hi!
His name is Ryan.
My name is Ryan.
So we usually do the magical readathon together, which as you know is hosted by Book Roast every year. She does an absolutely amazing job. However, the readathon used to be about She Who Shall Not Be Named. So Book Roast has done an absolutely mind-boggling thing and created her own fantasy world, and I'm so ready to take part. This first year is the Novice Path in order to get to the Magical Academy next year. So there are two main parts to this video. There are 7 prompts you can do, but you only have to do 2 in order to like survive the path. So I'm going to put 7 on my reading list for September. However, there's a very good chance that I might only read 2, and then because my husband is very busy, he's only going to read 2. So
2's enough.
Yeah.
2 will do.
Yeah. So that's the first part, and then the second part is creating a character for next year. So that basically means you have to read 3 books. 1 for the background of your character, 1 for the province that your character is from, and 1 for your character's heritage. So we each chose 3 books for that. So without further ado, we're gonna get into it. The first prompt is the Novice Path entrance, and this is testing navigation. So it's to read a book with a map. I promised myself that the fantasy books that have been on my shelves for a really long time, I'm gonna put on this TBR, and if I don't get to them, then they will be unhauled. So for map in the front, I'm going to attempt to read The Tiger and the Wolf by Adrian Tchaikovsky, and it does have a map in the front. So it is definitely going to fulfill that prompt if I get to it, but it is also 600 stinking pages.
Child's play.
So, shut up. So we'll see. All right, number 2 is the Ashthorn Tree, Testing Willpower and Curiosity. So it's a book that keeps tempting you or is like at the top of your TBR. And for me, we all know, I am trash for Jennifer L. Armentrout. So as you know, The Crown of Gilded Bones, which is the 3rd in the series, just came out like I think last year or earlier this year, and I've been eyeing it. But the thing about her writing is that it's like crack because I cannot control myself. Like if I start that book and it's I think like 800 pages, it is so long. I have to make sure that I'm not doing anything during the night or the next day. Like I will just keep reading the whole time and trash whatever plans I had.
Sleep is for the weak. Jennifer Armentrout is forever.
Sleep is for the weak. I'm pregnant. I'm trying to get all the sleep I can.
Fair point.
Yes. The 3rd prompt is The Mist of Solitude, which is testing mental fortitude to read a standalone. So this one, I'm going to read Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. A man who was recently killed, falling for the ferryman who's supposed to ferry him to the underworld. And I'm like, it sounds so good. I can't wait, but I also am gonna cry. But yeah, that's my pick for standalone. What are you gonna do for standalone?
For standalone, I'm going to be reading Ring Shout by P. Djeli Clark. I understand that it's a sort of supernatural, ghosty horror thriller with a kind of a mystical twist on kind of the rise of the KKK and the reign of terror in the American South, which yeah, sign me up for some glorious
And you forgot to
retribution.
mention that the 3 main characters are like weapon-wielding black women.
That's an important detail. The 3 main characters are weapon-wielding black women, so I suspect this will be very satisfying.
Yes, I found it very satisfying. I read it last year and it was great. So prompt number 4 is Ruin of the Sky, which is to test the unexpected. So it involves ghost or supernatural themes. And for this one, I'm reading one that like a lot of you probably think I have already read. Shadow and Bone. This has been on my shelves for like 3 or 4 years and I never read it. But there's like a magical veil that I believe monsters come through. So that is the supernatural themes that I'm going for in here. And also I just want to read it more because I really want to watch the TV show. But I want to read the book first.
Definitely.
So that's me.
I'm going to be reading for the same prompt for ghost or supernatural themes. I'm going to be reading Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas.
Brr, 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 brr. My favorite book of last year.
This was an easy choice. It was her favorite book.
I've been trying to get him to read it, and I'm like, hey.
Now is the time. Traditional Latinx family that involves some kind of mystical, magical kind of ghost powers, and a young man is not accepted for his gender identity and sets out to prove himself that he is a bruja.
Yes.
Is my understanding.
Yes. And lots of queer goodness and lots of ghosts.
Sign me up.
Yes. Number 5 is Obsidian Falls, Testing Mental Clarity, and this is to read a thriller or mystery. So I really want to read Elatsoe by Darcie Little Badger. This has been on my list to read like forever, and for some reason I just never get around to it. So I believe it's about an indigenous young girl who happens to be asexual and also being able to commune with spirits, and when a distant family member is killed and the murderer is not found, she's going to use her powers to track down what really happened. And then like there's this weird part where I know that there's a lot of pistachio ice cream, because I think that's her favorite ice cream. She's wrong, but but that's what she likes.
Roasted that teenage girl.
Sorry. Fictional
teenage girl. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Prompt number 6 is Tower of Rumination, Testing Heart and Mind's Desires. For this, it's a 5-star prediction. And I'm going to read, hopefully, Dark Rise by C.S. Pacat. So, this is a new book by C.S. Pacat, who wrote the Captive Prince trilogy, which I read years and years ago. Pacat's writing style is one of the most, like, suck you in. It's, like, beyond Armentrout. It's like quicksand. Like, I read the first page and I, like, can't stop myself.
It's a black hole. You are sucked in and you cannot fight it.
Yes. So, this comes out at the end of September, and I'm the first to reserve it at my library. So I'm like, please, please, please. All right, and the last one for the, like, map challenges is prompt number 7, Orilium Academy Arc. So you have to find the portal to the school for next year, and it's to read a school setting. And for this one, I actually have 2 school settings, and they're not fantasy at all. I just happen to have them on my shelves. So this is My Dark Vanessa, which is like a very harrowing fiction novel about a young girl who is groomed by her teacher at school. Gross. But I have heard amazing things about this book. But if I don't want to dip into that because, again, it's heavy. I do have this one, which is Unteachable, which is about a girl who goes to a summer fair and she meets this guy there and they have like a wonderful date together, and then she goes to high school and realizes that it's one of her teachers.
I thought you wanted something different.
Yes, but I don't know. I don't know. Someone let me know. If this is super bad and problematic, let me know. But from what I've heard, I think this is like Gabby reads is one of her favorite school forbidden romances. So, yeah, one of these 2 probs for school setting. Okay, so then the second part of the video is to make our characters. So, there are 3 categories. So the first one is the background of your character. So it's either wilding, which is forest and outdoor, or it's urban, which is obviously city and town setting. So I went for wilding because I like the outdoors. And I'm gonna read Noor by Nnedi Okorafor, which is a recent arc I got granted. Yay, by NetGalley. This is Nnedi Okorafor's newest book, and it comes out November 9th. And it is human AI Afrofuturism. I can't even wait. I'm looking at the synopsis right now. I know. So
How many things to check off?
I know. I'm like so keen. So it's following in Wooly, who is an AO, artificial organism. So she essentially has a bunch of body augmentations, but then one day she's at her local market and something goes really, really wrong, and she starts to go on the run into the desert of northern Nigeria. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's my wilding background.
Excellent.
All right.
Me being the soft boy that I am, I've gone for an urban setting. I'm going to read The Machine Stops by E.M. Forster. This is a fairly well-known short story, of course, but I haven't read it yet. I understand it was one of your favorites.
Yeah, I don't know how well-known it is. It's one of my favorite short stories of all time.
Functionally, the idea of it is humanity is living in underground cities and all their needs are taken care of them by machines. A very Wall-E kind of thing.
Yeah, the way that I pitched it to him was it's like Wall-E, where the humans become so dependent that they can no longer kind of function without the machines, only more for like teen or adult readers.
And the point of the story is, presumably, I'm guessing by the title, the machine stops and the humans have to deal with that. And that's going to be really fun, I think.
Shocker.
In these horrible pandemic times, we're all dealing with, Locky D, and we're all stuck inside. It might be a really interesting read.
What did you say, Locky D?
Locky D.
What is
lockdown.
That? Oh god. Australianisms. Okay.
Mr. Lachlan B. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So then wow, it's really having trouble.
It really is.
So then,
two of us, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So then the second part of the character building is the province that we're from. And all of the 4 provinces sound amazing. The 3 that we're not doing. So there's...
All of them sound great, but we're ignoring 3 of them.
Listen. Okay. So there's Dayrun, which is the desert setting, which I guess I could have used Noor for, but I don't want that. I want what I want. Irtheria, which is Fae and Elves. And then Carador, which is a book from ongoing series. We're going to do Dark Meadow, which is all about dark academia, because there is a labyrinthine library under the unlivable mountain range, which, if that doesn't sound like the coolest shit ever.
I mean, yeah, sign me up.
So we both picked the same because we're like, well, I mean, there's only...
Underground library, yeah.
So for that, you have to read Dark Academia. I'm reading another one that I think a lot of people probably think I've already read, but I have not. An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. And this is another one, like, if I don't end up reading this, I shall donate it, because I've had it years and years, and now's the time. So this is, again, like, Leah's grandparents were murdered. She went to a magic school to spy, and I think it's a magic warrior school.
Magic warrior school.
Yeah, so if you've read this, which I assume literally everyone that has, let me know what you thought of it down below.
If it makes you feel any better, I haven't read it.
That doesn't make me feel better. All right, and then what are you reading for Dark Academia?
For Dark Academia, I'm going to be reading A Cage of Butterflies by Brian Caswell. This is an Australian young adult novel about a special school, kind of like super high IQ teens with special gifted abilities, and they're being kind of cooked in this academic kind of pressure chamber for reasons.
And then the last section, which is very cool, and this was the hardest one for us to choose, is the heritage of your character. So again, I'll talk about the ones that we're not doing. So there's the dwarves, who are really cool, like sci-fi geniuses. Very cool.
Very cool.
There are the humans, who you have to read a contemporary or nonfiction. Skyborn, which is also very cool. They're like mystical orbs that can take like a physical form. And for that one, it's to read the oldest book on your TBR. Okay, so I'm going to do mine, and then you'll do your 2 options.
Sure.
So I chose Earthlings because Earthlings, you basically can control elements, and the air one is an angel.
They have wings.
They have wings! And I was like, okay, I can't not. I really want wings. If I can't be a mermaid,
yeah,
I really want wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the challenge is to read a book with an element word in the title. And for this one, I figured because I'm doing air, I have When Breath Becomes Air, which is a really heavy hitting nonfiction about a doctor who knew he was dying and he wrote about the importance of life. So yes, I understand that it's going to be very harrowing, but I've heard that it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked it. And then he has two options here.
Yeah, so I'm tossing up whether I'm going to be an elf, which means reading something with a moon or stars on the cover. In which case, if I do, I'll be reading The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. It's set in a mystical land called the Protectorate, where the society yearly makes a child sacrifice to a witch. She accidentally feeds one of the children moonlight, which is apparently pure magic, and turns the child into a super powerful witch of sorts, and then things go from there. So I think that sounds really fun. I think that just sounds like a really nice, easy adventure romp, which sounds like a really good time. And then if I don't do that one, if I choose to instead eschew the sweetness and kind of really lean into that kind of dark angst.
I'm really hoping he chooses this one, because this is my second choice. So like, I was like,
yeah,
glad. Be the angsty one.
I can be the angsty edgelord, which is the Iltyrian race, who are very similar to like a kind of a dark elf or a drow, and they and that prompt is to read something with a crow on the cover or in the title. And if I do that, I'm going to be reading Catching Teller Crow, which I believe in the US is called The Things She's Seen, which is a story written by an Australian First Nations duo, brother and sister duo, and it touches on a main character who is dead and who is assisting her detective father from the afterlife as he attempts to solve some mysterious crimes and murders. And that alone sounds really excellent, but it touches on issues of colonization and repression of Indigenous people, and that's, you know, really interesting and heavy hitting. I'm really excited about that one. Like, I think that sounds really, really excellent. It's going to be hard to not pick that one.
The only caveat is we just went into lockdown again, so I read that book.
Sorry. You can cut that if you want.
No, it's fine. So I originally read that one from the library, so I don't have it. So we're in lockdown, so we can't currently go to the library. So we'll see. So if you can't get Catching Teller Crow, then The Girl Who Drank the Moon will have to suffice, and you'll have to be an elf instead of a rogue.
I don't really have the pointy ears for an elf, but
you do though. Wait, turn your head. Perfect ears. Yeah, so this is our TBR for the new and improved Magical Readathon hosted by Book Roast. Please take part. Please show her a lot of love. I can't wait to see what you all are reading.
Please make sure you go and watch the original video from Book Roast. She's amazing and explains the world in a really interesting way.
So if you want to participate in next year's, you have to get to the school first.
Do it.
Yeah, so you gotta
do it.
Year. Thank you for being
Thank you for inviting me.
Video.
Thank you for having me.
And I will see you all later in another video. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.